What's up, YouTube? So today I want to do a little video, talk about audio for your side-by-side. Okay, so if any of you guys have watched the last video I posted where Matt actually did a walk around, kind of a breakdown of how he built his machine, he made mention of his sound bar. Now we were out, I guess it was around New Year's, we did a ride, and I actually noted how good the sound bar sounded. And so I broke down, I bought one identical to what Matt has in his machine, and I went ahead and installed it in our machine and our Razor. And when we went and did the Feb Jam ride at Circle E, you may even be able to pick it out in that video if you haven't watched it. I had it installed and I was kind of toying with how I've got this thing connected to the rest of my sound system. Now I'm still undecided on exactly how I want to set up my sound system. I've got speakers in the dash, I've got the pod speakers, I've got this new sound bar, I've got my old head unit, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what sounds good, what works good together. And so I'm kind of in the middle of, I've got all this stuff in the machine right now, probably going to end up simplifying at some point. But for today's video, what I really wanted to focus on was this guy. As many of you know, speaker pods, the sound bars, they're loud, they're clear, but they don't make a ton of bass. So I reached out to the folks at ECOXGEAR and I said, look, I've recently purchased your sound bar. I really like it. The LED lights are really cool. It looks good in the machine, but I'm still lacking bass. What have you got? And they said, well, you need to get our Extreme Sub. All right, so let's talk about the Extreme Sub. All right, so what did the folks at ECOXGEAR send me? They have sent me a turnkey subwoofer package. And what I mean by that is it's an 8-inch subwoofer in an enclosure with amplification, pre-wired, ready to go. And of course, it wouldn't be complete if they didn't throw LEDs in there as well. So what we've got is a 500 watt peak power capacity. It's got a built-in 30 amp fuse protection. It's IP66 dust proof and waterproof rated. You can pair it. Oh, well, we'll get into that here in just a minute. One really cool thing, if you've got multiple products from this company, they have what's called ECOCast, where they talk to each other wirelessly. It's kind of like Bluetooth. Works great. That being said, it's not mandatory that you use this subwoofer with one of their sound bars. It also has an auxiliary input jack, which means you can run an aux cord from your phone, from a head unit, from another sound bar, and this thing will take that audio input and work with other devices you may already own. A couple of other features I'd like to mention about this thing is it does come with gain control on the side, as well as a built-in crossover, and I want to say it's 50 hertz to 275 hertz. So that gives you some adjustability in volume independently from your other audio source, as well as setting a crossover. Obviously the party lights, they call it, the LED lights, you can toggle between different colors and whatnot, is really cool. So what we've got in this enclosure, you've got an 8-inch sub on one end and what's called a passive radiator on the other end, which is essentially another 8-inch speaker without the voice coil, without the magnet and stuff. Now, I don't know exactly what that means. I assume it has something to do with airspace. In a little bitty enclosure like this, anybody that's spent any time around audio equipment knows that subwoofers like airspace. The more the better. And so in a small enclosure, I don't even know what kind of stuff's in there internally as far as the amplifier and stuff. It's not a lot of airspace. And so I have to assume that the passive radiator helps trick the sub into thinking it's got more airspace. What I can tell you is this. Now, why you shouldn't expect 212s with 1,000 watt power capacity sound from something like this, I was pretty impressed. As a matter of fact, I was really impressed. I was shocked at how much bass comes out of such a small package. Now with this, they give you a couple of different mounting solutions. You've got a long plate where you could bolt this thing, say, down in the bed if you wanted to flip it up and attach it to your cage in some fashion. There's also a set where you could stand this thing up vertically. They're nice mounts. I'm sure they work great, but anybody that has watched any of my videos knows that I customize everything, and this is no exception to that rule. I'm kind of in the middle, like the rest of the audio setup. I'm kind of in the middle of exactly how I'm going to mount this. I've decided to put this thing under the dash in our Turbo R, kind of like if you buy the factory, I'm not going to mention the brand, but the factory subwoofer kits, or even the aftermarket subwoofer kits. Those mount under the dash. I kind of wanted to try to put this in the same location. I've come up with some cheap fabrication brackets for now, just to see if I could fit it in that area for one thing, to see how it sounds, and to see if it interferes with the legroom. All of those boxes have been checked in a positive fashion, so I feel like I'm going to try to move forward and make something a little bit more professional looking and a little more permanent. At this point, I feel like I've probably talked enough, and what I should do is let their products speak for themselves. Now, I'm outside today, there's a little breeze, so I don't know exactly how the sound quality is going to turn out. Most of you are probably watching this on your phone, on a tablet, maybe on your TV, and you're not really going to get the true bass response out of this thing in that fashion anyhow. You're just going to kind of have to take my word for it, that it sounds really good for something this small. Like I said, it being turnkey, where you literally take it out of the box, you hook some power to it, figure out how you want to power it on and off. There's a couple of different settings there. And then how are you going to connect it? Are you going to run their sound bar, use the ECOXGEAR, and I'm actually going to show you that today. That's how I've got it set up right now. One thing I want to mention is the other audio that I have in here, I'm not going to be playing any of that in this video. I'm going to play you a song here in just a second, and it's going to be entirely, the sound is going to be coming entirely from the sound bar and this sub. So the rest of the stuff is turned off. If you see other speakers, you're going to see other speakers. They're not going to be producing any sound today for this video. It's going to be purely what's coming out of the sound bar and coming out of the subwoofer. All right, so like I already mentioned, these speakers are not going to come into play today. I do not have the head unit or these speakers turned on. The sound that you're going to hear is going to be coming from this sound bar and the ECOXGEAR 8-inch powered subwoofer. And like I said, this is just literally just some strap material I bought from a local hardware store, and I've got it kind of pulled up just to see if I could put it there, would it fit, what's it going to sound like. And I like it there. It fits, it sounds good, it's up out of the way, and so I think I'm going to move forward making a little bit more of a permanent fixture to put it in that location. Anyhow, without further ado, let's play some music. So real quick, just to hit some highlights on the soundbar itself. I know I talked about the sub quite a bit, but I didn't really even mention much about the soundbar. Soundbar is great as well. It is also 500 watts, and so what's really cool about both of these is you've got your integrated wiring where it's literally almost just plug and play. I've wired both of these straight to the battery. It's good heavy gauge power and ground wires. Both of them are fused, of course. A couple of other things to mention about this. It is actually, the soundbar is actually 8 speakers. So there's a woofer on each end, and you've got 2 mid-range drivers on each side and a tweeter on each side. So 8 speakers total. As you could see, playing a little music there, it's got several modes for the LEDs. You can turn the LEDs off, of course, if you don't want them at all. They're solid color. It does kind of a fade between the colors, and then it's interactive with the music. That's kind of the way I had it set up there. It does come with a remote control, and it also comes with some mounting solutions. Now, like everything else, I've made a couple brackets for myself to work with the rings that they supplied to mount in this Turbo R Pro XP Pro Rs. So yeah, super impressed with both of these products. Like I said, I bought the soundbar a few weeks ago. I've already been out on a ride and was fairly impressed with how loud it was. Lack of bass, and that's going to go with just about any soundbar on the market. Now, while this one does have a good full range of sound, obviously the noises from the engine, your exhaust, it just drowns out some of that low end stuff. So that's why I reached out to the folks and said, hey, let's look at adding the sub to the system. As far as the subwoofer itself goes, I couldn't be more happy with that. I'm very impressed at the sound that it makes. I like how compact it is. It was easy to find a spot to put it where it's going to be up out of the way. And like the sound bar, it looks really good. It seems to be constructed well. So super happy with it. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to these folks. I'm going to put links to both of these products in the description below. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. Of course, at this point, you guys know we want you to hit the like and subscribe button. That's what keeps us motivated to want to continue doing these videos. Anyhow, talk to you guys later.